Hello, I'm Steph from iDriver Classic, and I'm sorry that we haven't been back down at Kev's workshop for what, 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks. It's been a little while, but there's been a couple of things going on, and one of them you probably definitely know about, which was Rustival. And my goodness, didn't we have some fun? I'm sure you probably watched the video already. If you haven't, go back and watch it. You'll see some of the bits you missed out on. Met so many brilliant people there, had a really great laugh with quite a few of you. I know that Kev came, and again, he said that he had a really good day talking to people and just nattering away and sharing some of his wisdom. Take some of that with a pinch of salt. Anyway, the second reason, and I'm trying to keep a smile on my face as I tell you, is quite a sad one, and I haven't really felt like filming, and some of you will know if you follow me on social media, is that my cat died. And for some people that aren't really pet people, you might not understand how that feels, but for me it was always me and the cat, and we were together for 15 years, and even now, as I tell you, I've just not really felt up to filming. I've not been up to really that much, and I've been living on junk food, and it's been a rubbish few weeks, to be honest. And it was actually Rustival that I felt like pulled me back around again and put a smile on my face. And a lot of people talked about how Rustival put a smile on their face, but right back at you all, because you perked me back up and gave me a reason to carry on when I didn't really feel much like doing that. So thank you very much. But it's back to doing all the mucky stuff and getting on with the cars. But the thing is whilst I took my eye off Kev and had it firmly on matters at home, he went off and did something rather bonkers. Now follow me, because I'm going to talk to you about it outside. He welcomed a new member of the family, and I'm not talking about something normal like a child or a pet. He welcomed yet another car to the Hurst fleet. Come and have a look. Now, if you know Kev, or you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that he had a 1500, Triumph 1500 that he was in love with, Henry, who was a lovely little car. But the thing with Henry was he was decidedly crusty, and he couldn't really stay in the fleet for that reason. And Kev said to me, if you see another Triumph 1500 pop back up that you think probably worth a punt, give me a shout. But he said it has to be under £2,000. I'm not going mad with the money. So anyway, I tagged him in a post on the Triumph 1300, 1500 Owners Club, and here it is. It's come to fruition, which I'm probably not entirely sure that Kev's wife is best pleased with me, but come and have a look round it with me. So now I'm just going to swap over to B-roll and chat to you as we go through. Now, as you can see, it's only just arrived, and Kev's doing a little bit of a deep dive into what it needs and everything else. And right now I'm clutching a master cylinder in my hand, because he said, for God's sake, don't put that back down. Because when I turned up, it was chaos in this garage, and there was stuff all over the floor. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, somewhere in this box of junk is the master cylinder. And then he just kind of lobbed it at me and said, hold on to that. So here I am, still holding on to this master cylinder. But anyway, let's look at this car. It's only just arrived. It's pretty honest. There's a few bits and pieces around it that could do with some attention, but it hasn't been on the road for quite a few decades. It lived with the same owner for a very long time. They'd really loved it, and as you can see, it's been largely well taken care of. Now, Kev's got a bit of a magic touch with these, so he said it needs clutch master cylinder and a few other things, but actually let's get him to talk about that, and then we'll swap back into the main project, which is the MGC, because our main focus is going to be on that, because Kev reckons it's probably not going to take any more than a couple of afternoons to get this back up running. But we will do a bit of a catch-up video on that, but I just wanted to mention it because I knew somebody would spot it outside and ask about it. So Kev, tell us about this 1500, and then we'll go back to our original project, the MGC.
Basically, as Steph said, it was advertising the Triumph 1300 Club. The owner of the car had loved it, cared for it, used it as his daily driver, and unfortunately, sadly died at far too young, 72. So it's another bit of a bittersweet tale why I've got the car. But anyway, the family realises that the car wasn't going to be scrapped and it was going to be looked after, and I said I would look after it. So what I've done, I've gone round the car, got it running eventually. The problem with the car was the fuel tank was absolutely gummed up with old fuel, and everything was blocked up. So I had devil's own job of freeing that up, involving paint stripper, a pressure washer inside the thing, and oh dear me, the fluid that came out was just absolutely awful. Anyway, done that, coated the tank inside, got it so it now runs, fires on the button, new thermostat in it, flushed it all out, and I'm just gradually working round it. It doesn't drive at the moment because the clutch slave cylinder is seized up and the master cylinder is seized up. So I've got in my lucky spares box brand new components, so that's good. So that's will be done on Monday. I've replaced the front brake hoses and gone round the braking system at the front, rebuilt the calipers, new pads, the discs are all right. I'm going to start at the back, but that all looks like they've got loads of components on it. So really, I'm hoping by next week she should be MOT'd, up and running and ready for the film world. So, back to the project in hand, which is the lovely MGC. But first of all, I'd just like to mention Rustival. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm not really particularly into car shows, to be honest, but that was exceptional. I have never enjoyed a car show as much as that. So well done to Steph and her team. It was absolutely spot on. And thanks, it was nice meeting people, and thank you very much for all your gifts. And yeah, thank you very much. Anyway, back to the MGC. It might look like not a lot's happened to it, but in the background, there's quite a bit happened to it. And I'm trying to sort of get as much preparation done so when the final assembly happens, it's not going to be a major hassle. And the bigger the components are, they can go away in the conservatory out the way, so I'm not tripping up over the damn things. So I just want to mention the wheels. The wheels, wire wheels, looked absolutely horrendous to start with. There was rust, there was water inside, the cracked awful tyres, they were flat, they just looked awful. Anyway, took the tyres off, took the tubes out, obviously threw those away because they were no use to man the beast, and took the wire wheels down to Crimble powder coaters in Slathwaite, and with the instructions, shot blast them. Let's see what they're like before we do anything else. So they shot blasted them, and to my absolute amazement, the wheels were perfect. The spokes were not loose. There was no broken spokes. They were absolutely spot on, which is amazing. I thought they'd be a goner. So I said, right, okay, let's go ahead with it. So they then zinc coated it for the rust, rust prevention. And then I got myself a brand new set of branded tyres, Continental tyres here, which are a similar pattern to the original Dunlop SPs. And yeah, so spot on. Right, this is not just the only piece of components I've had spruced up, excuse me, old man noises there to make it authentic. And here we are, ta-da! It is a MGC radiator that's been completely recored by somebody I've known for, since I started in the motor trade. It's Huddersfield Radiators. They've done loads of radiators for me in the past. I think he's been doing radiators for 40 years, I think, or something, so I've never had a problem with it. But I ended up having the extra core in it to make sure that it doesn't overheat or anything. Not that these engines do, because they're not doing a great deal of work, to be fair. But yeah, so there you go. That's another piece of kit done, finished, and in the conservatory out the way, ready for final assembly at some point. So another piece of kit that I've been assembling is both quarter lights. Steph was going to do this, but obviously with Rustival and other bits and pieces we haven't had time to do. So I've had this chrome from the chromers that we mentioned on the previous video, and inside there I've placed brand new rubber, courtesy of the MG Owners Club Spares department, and I've used the original quarter light window, which is not too bad really, and that all closes nicely, and that's ready for the final assembly. I could do with a hinge, but I think these hinges are unobtainable at the moment. But anyway, that's just a screw-in job if I get another one that's slightly not pitted as that, because that metal is Mazak. So that's it. That's all ready for the assembly. Just need a channel rubber in there, which I've got. And there we go. So both quarter lights, they're finished and in the lovely conservatory. So also, besides doing nice things, assembling things and getting things other people doing and stuff, I have actually physically done a bit of work to this car since Steph last called. Now, if you look at this gap at the back, look how tight that gap is. It's far too tight. Whoever did this car, who did it very well, I must admit, set the gaps up with modern tolerances. Now this car, with the body flexing and stuff, it needs to be a much wider gap with her, because if you get sort of 3 very heavy coats of paint on there, that will be catching and rubbing off. So it's a shame what I had to do, and we'll walk you around and I'll tell you what I had to do, because to be honest, the standard of welding is far better than mine. So it's a bit awful really when but you got to do it, but it's just not right. I can't move the door any further forward because it's going to catch on that wing. The wing's in the right place for the bonnet. It all lines up. So the only thing that I'm going to have to do is, and I'll show you around the other side, so I've done it around the other side, is cut all the way down there, all the way around there, then cut the sill all the way along down there, and I've had to physically dress it down and re-weld it back up again, which was a horrible job. It took me best part of a day to do the other side, and it's something I didn't particularly want to do. However, I haven't had any option, because that is just totally unacceptable. You can't leave it like that. The paint will be flaking off and it'll look terrible. So all the hard work with that will be gone. So we had to do it. So I'll show you round the other side. So this is what I've had to do, and you can just see that's all been welded up, and I've just put a little bit of filler in there. But if you look at that gap all the way around there, that is not an excessively wide gap, but it's a nice even gap on the car, probably about just over 3/16 of an inch, I would have thought. But it sort of lines up there, and it lines up there, and it opens nicely. And then, of course, in here, that just wants grinding off. And then I made sure that all that was right, 'cause it's had lower half rear wings on it. But again, the welding's very good, but the gap was just too tight. So that I had to physically dress all that back, which was a bit of a pain, really, to be honest. But I'm only going to do this once, and I don't want to do it again. And I did get to use this piece of kit, which experts will say it's a shrinking hammer. See these serrated edges here on there? So the idea is the metal goes into there and it shrinks the metal, so it's not bulging out. But the actual panel fit on this side, I'm quite happy with. It'll be all right that when it's all dressed out, cleaned up, etc., etc. But the next week, hopefully, I'll be doing the other side. But you can see how tight the other side was, which is completely unacceptable for this on this edge here. So, old hammer came out, earmuffs on, and just got to get on and do it.
Well, you've not really seen much of me today, but I'm not the star of the show, and I haven't been doing the hard work this week because of everything that I've already mentioned. But I've already promised that I will be back in the garage in the next few days and mucking back in again, just like I usually do. But you know what? This is the thing about project cars, and I think is so important when we do stuff like this, is we are completely honest. And that's why some people might think it was too honest to tell you why my motivation dissolved and why I've not really been up to do anything. But that's one of the things that I always want to do with iDriver Classic, is be very, very honest with you all at home, tell you what's really going on, the triumphs, literally, the failures and all the bits in between. I think Kev's done really well cracking on, but you know what? I need to be back in here and we need to be pushing forward and getting this thing back on the road, because I would really like to take it out for a test drive in the sunshine and not in the slushy autumn, because I know what it's like to end up using it all the time. Anyway, that's it from us today. I hope you've really enjoyed the video. Bit of a catch up, not too much technical work, but next week, gloves are back on, real work starts again. But until then, take care and drive safely.